So Mudsdale's got some extremely low usage, but if used correctly, this muddy horse can become an absolute monster. While most people sleep on its solid base 125 attack, it's mostly here to be a super nice tank with its base 100s in both HP and attack, thanks to its rare ability, Stamina. This gives it a +1 boost to defense every time it's hit by a move. Of course, this pairs extremely nicely with coverage and body press, which is a fighting type move that uses its defense stat and damage calculation, and Mudsdale can really get snowballing and out of hand after just a few stamina boosts. If Buddy gets positioned in front of too many physical attackers, you're gonna have a bad time. I also like to use this fella for some stealth rock support, along with hard-hitting stab damage and earthquake, coverage and heavy slam, and we can either toss on a rocky helmet item to make it even more annoying to touch for the opponent, or just straight up leftovers for longevity, and plus the horse just likes apples. Mudsdale's the kind of mon that gets extremely frustrating to play against, and so today we're going to try to show why it can be more valuable than its usage stats suggest. Look, sometimes you and your buddy Dale just gotta get together and body some people like it's 2 AM inside of a Waffle House. Mudsdale is one of my favorite tanks of all time because while it's mainly there to be defensive, it can also just snowball to be really offensive. And I think the thing's cool and it just doesn't get enough love. So that's what we're gonna get into today. If that sounds like a fun time to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second, and I'm cooking up a whole bunch more nonsense coming up soon. So with that, let's get into the match. Alright, so right from the team preview, I know that my opponent is going to lead off with the Ariados. Now, that's exactly what they do, and they want to get some sticky web up, which is bad for me, but I have a plan. I don't have any hazard control on the team, but one way I can try to get around this thing getting its sticky web is to lead off with the Wug Trio. Now, the plan is to go for a Choice Banded triple dive, bypass the Focus Sash, I can hit him 3 times, boom, spider dead, no webs for me. Now, as I see the second one come through, I'm thinking, uh-oh, it might not kill. And it doesn't. It lives with literally 2 HP, and that is incredibly inconvenient. I really thought I was cooking something up there, but now the Ariados can go for that sticky web, and now I'm going to have to play slow the entire time. So look, when I die, I want Wug Trio to lower me into my grave, so I can be let down just one last time. Now, I'm thinking they're probably going to go into Zapdos here. One thing I do not want to do is touch the Zapdos 3 times. That's just asking. Do you want static? Because that's how you're going to get static, and I do not want Wug Trio paralyzed and be even slower. So I'm thinking I go Mudsdale here, who, you know, kind of counters the thing. Turns out they just go for the Sucker Punch, which is fine. It doesn't work out. Mudwiser's out here in our sweet little boots, and they are just going to click the Shadow Sneaks before they go down, which is fine. Doesn't do anything to me. It gives me a stamina boost. They then die to the Rocky Helmet, and then Mudsdale's like, hey, this is pretty nice. I'm just out here by myself, free as a horse can be, and then I'm just going to play some Stealth Rocks here. So while it's not a horrible start, I am playing a little bit behind just with those sticky webs up. So I get up my rocks, which is fine. And the bad news is now they can revenge switch in whatever they want. Now, they have themselves a little Water Tauros situation. And this thing is, I mean, while Mudsdale, I know I can take an attack from it, I don't really need to stay in here and take unnecessary chips. So I'm thinking this. First of all, they probably go for Water Stab here. And that's going to allow me to bring in Politoed. I don't really have anything that wants to directly easily switch into this. So I'm thinking I can go into Politoed, you know, take a Raging Bull potentially, and then still have enough health to probably live a close combat depending on what happens. But regardless, I bring in the Toad, looking nice and moist on this sunny afternoon at the old beach. Instead, they go for the close combat. That is going to bring me down to 69, which is nice, but it's also not nice because now I just die to another one. And at least it's getting the defensive drops. So, I don't really have much that wants to come in on a close combat. So I decide to stay in. Politoed doesn't have a huge role in the match. And I get my rain up, just ruin the beach day for everybody else. But also just enable this thing's water damage to do more. So, you know, that's... Look, this is a scary bowl. I am a little bit afraid. The thing's just over there roaring up a storm. And I have to figure out something that wants to deal with it. So look, I have this... I have this Alomamole, who is not an ordinary Alomamole. Regularly, I would probably bring this thing in on that close combat, but I, instead of being a wall, am supposed to be a sweeper. And, you know, I can't really go for my scale shot to try to boost my speed up a whole bunch, because I know close combat's likely close to a 2-hit KO. And while they do go for it, it is going to do over half, which sucks. But luckily, I connect on the play rough, just slam my weird-shaped heart body against him, and that's going to be a dead Tauros. So... You know, hey, look, Alomomola did provide a little bit of value. This thing is supposed to be like a weakness policy scale shot set. It's probably not going to happen here, but, you know, at least I got a kill there, which feels good. So, now as they bring in the Cleaver, first of all, I think I can take a Stone Axe from this thing. I know they want to be able to get that Stealth Rock up and do a bunch of damage. Judging how much that close combat did from the Tauros, I'm thinking I should maybe be able to take a Stone Axe and then hit it with a hard, rain boosted liquidation, and then all of a sudden Alomomola stocks are through the roof. But they decide to go for the Terra Ghost in order to be able to live the water attack, but they kill me with the Stone Axe, and now they got some sashimi for lunch. So, down goes the fish. They get up some Stealth Rock in the process, and I'm like, damn it, I was really hoping to be able to live that. It doesn't happen, but guess what does happen? Mudsdale is about the easiest swap in possible here, and Mudsdale's looking pretty good against their squad. So while I bring this thing in, if we weren't slow enough already with our base 35 speed, now we will not be entering any races anytime soon. But I know that Cleaver can't really do anything to me at all, and I'm pretty free to go for an Earthquake here. The one thing that it does switch in here would be Zapdos, but that thing can't really hit me hard in return either. But it turns out they go for the Trailblaze, which does do some considerable chip, but, it takes some Rocky Helmet damage. And then as the Earthquake comes through, that is going to be a dead-ass Cleaver. Double dead because it's already a ghost anyway, but that's really nice for me because as Cleaver goes down, that's not only a big threat, but it takes care of their Terra as well. And now Mudsdale with +1 defense is sitting out about half. And we get to see what we can make happen with the Dale here. Because look, they've got 3 Mons left. The only thing that can hit me on the special side really is going to be this Magmortar. And as they bring it in, they can't Flamethrower in the rain. And as I'm looking at it, this thing oftentimes is going to be carrying a Power Herb with a Solar Beam. And that would, theoretically, even in the rain, that's going to hurt my ground type, my Muddy Horse. So, expecting the Solar Beam here, it's a all-around risky maneuver because I go for the Terra Steel. I'm thinking, do they bust out the immediate Power Herb Solar Beam in the rain? I'm thinking they do. I'm gonna make that prediction. I go for the Terra Steel to be able to resist it, and they do click the Solar Beam, which is sick as hell, because it's not only now gonna be resisted by the Steel, but it also, not a lot of people seem to know, if you Solar Beam in the rain, it does 50% less damage. So we get the prediction correct. They do have the Power Herb Solar Beam. It does nothing to you, boy. I then am able to fire off an Earthquake, and a super effective Quake is going to kill the Magmortar. So the combination of rain and in the Terra there was extremely clutch because now, honestly looking at it, we're in a pretty solid spot. We get another stamina boost from that Solar Beam, and their biggest threat at this point is going to be the Roaring Moon. So I'm over here happy they did not go Zapdos, because as they click the knockoff with all the stamina boosts we got, it does nothing. It does get rid of my Rocky Helmet, but they take a little bit of chip before that, and then with those boosts, all it does is just powers up my body press even further. I step on him, and that is a dead-ass Roaring Moon. So Mudsdale coming in extremely clutch, and while their final mon is going to be the Zapdos, they probably think I have some type of rock coverage for it, but look, I don't. I'm just over here, just P to the horses here. So as the dose comes in, first of all, it's not static, it is pressure, but it is not taking Stealth Rock chip, meaning it's going to be heavy-duty boots. But he's got some weird old boots to fit over those talons, but the bad news is I am in range for a Thunderbolt to take me out, and down goes the Mudsdale. But we're proud of the Dale because, honestly, this thing allowed us to hopefully be able to pull out the dub here. So as the rain goes away, that is fine, unless this thing's Hurricane, I guess, for them. But I've got 3 Mons left, and one thing that does put me in a decent spot here is the Flygon. I can't be Thunderbolted. Best thing it can really do is like Heat Wave, and that should be fine. This Flygon though is a bit of a different fella. I am in fact special attacking with Bug Buzz to activate a Throat Spray, and then I can Draco Meteor it. So first I'm gonna go for the Bug Buzz. While I know it's gonna do literally nothing, I'm doing it just for the Throat Spray. Buddy's throat is sore, but now we're feeling better. The Zapdos is now just gonna go for the U-turn. Turns out U-turn's the only thing it can really click against me probably, which is sweet. Because now at +1 special, I can then go for the Draco Meteor just to see how much it does. Does not have enough to kill it, but just being ground type, I'm literally the anti-Zapdos over here. They can continue to U-turn all they want. They got nothing to U-turn into, and then one more Draco Meteor is gonna kill the Zapdos. So that is gonna be the end of the game on that one. Lesson learned: do not mess with the Dale. He's gonna step on you but his body hurts. So I thought that was an interesting game. Had a lot of fun with that one, and I think we should keep it rolling. It's not going to bring us into game number 2, and if you thought the fun was over, it is in fact not. Look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. The YouTube algorithm, for some reason, likes it, and, 1 like equals 1 pet for the horse. So, with that, let's jump into the game. Alright, so this time, my opponent is going to end up leading off with the Morpeko. This little fella's just happy to be around, and I have probably the best fella for the job in the Mudsdale lead. I mainly am just here to click Stealth Rock, and I know this thing probably is going to get the hell out of here. So, they end up going for the Parting Shot because, of course, give me a little parting gift in the form of a -1 attack, which is fine. they swap this thing out, and Mudsdale's like, I'm just here to set up my Stealth Rock and get the hell out of here. Let me be. Now, it turns out they do end up pivoting into the Pert, and I kind of expect it. Like, Swampert is probably here to just be a damp little fella, set up some Stealth Rock of their own, and just let us go about our game. Now, I don't really have much to touch the Swampert with anything other than the Brambleghast. I'm like, surely they just go for the Stealth Rock here. I bring in the Brambleghast, threaten it out with a Power Whip, and then profit. But as I come in, I am immediately greeted with a massive avalanche that just straight up destroys me. So a Tumbleweed has no business being caught in an avalanche. And that was a hell of a prediction, because now I am in a very bad spot versus the Swampert. And one thing I know for sure is I need some chip on the thing. So now, with no way to touch it in a super effective fashion, I decide to bring in Azelf. Now I'm thinking with Azelf, I can maybe try to bait them into just clicking Stealth Rock or something. I know this thing's got the Stealth Rock. I'm like, do not touch me here. Allow me to set up a nasty plot, but they just go for another avalanche. I'm like, is this a choice banded avalanche Swampert? The hell is going on here? It does do over half. And now at +2 special attack, I need to get some damage. I go for the mystical power. The main hope was that I would take less than half from an avalanche, but it's not the case. And while I do get some big damage with the mystical power, now the Azelf goes down to yet again another Lanch. So I'm just out here being destroyed by this Swampert in a way that I had no idea was coming. And now I'm like, well, what the hell is what is my out here? I've kind of used up some pretty solid assets without getting much value. So I decide, here's the plan. I can go into Cyclizar, and I can bait, once again, another avalanche, which is hilarious, but I am going to need to try to get some momentum on my side. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Terra Ghost, which is going to at least allow me to take one avalanche. And in the process, I can then go for a shift gear, and then, you know, with a gear shifted, Baikel is definitely going to be able to at least put some pressure on some things. So I go for the shift gear, I put the Ghost on my head, and now you won't like me when I'm in gear number 2, baby. We're about fast as hell. Literally the fastest motorcycle ever. And they do go for the avalanche. They take the bait, and with the critical hit, it nearly kills me. Honestly, if that avalanche would have killed me, my switch was getting turned off. I ain't even gonna lie. But I can now go for a Dragon Claw at +1 attack. That is gonna be enough to kill the Swampert. And thank God, Swampert got hands. But that's pretty nice. Now I do take some Life Orb, and that's why that critical hit was very annoying, because now I can only hit one more thing before the Life Orb kills me, and that is not ideal. Now, as they go into the Screamtail, I was kind of trying to bait this thing in the first place, because I do have coverage with an Iron Head, and I'm thinking I can maybe grab a kill. If I had the health, I could maybe get the flinch. And as I do bop him with the Iron Forehead, it does live, and it also is going to be weakness policy, which I did not expect at all. This thing is now gonna be a little bit more scary on the offensive side. I do just die to my Life Orb though, so I'm like, you will not get the satisfaction of killing me. I'm gonna take care of that part myself. So I lose my Terra, I lose my Cyclizar, and just like that, I'm down to half of the squad, which is not ideal. So as they dazzling gleam the air, I realize I'm dealing with what appears to be a sweeper Screamtail, which it feels a little more scary than it should be. But I'm thinking I can go Braviary here, and honestly, now thinking about it, I make a couple of bad choices here. First of all, I probably should have gone Heatran. I was kind of not familiar with Screamtail's game here. I thought I was going to have some type of coverage to touch Heatran, and knowing that Heatran is pretty necessary for things like the Ninetales in the back, I decided to conserve it and just go Braviary for some reason. But then an Agility would have been definitely my best bet there. I was thinking maybe it had something like Ice Beam, trying to scout what Buddy's working with there. It does just go for the Dazzling Gleam, and even at +2 it does like half. So I'm like, you know what, Agility would have set me up pretty nice, and I'm just over here making some bad plays, but it happens. So one thing we know for sure though is we do have a chance in this game. As we take out the Screamtail, in comes Morpeko, and this little hangry bean is just, again, the perfect fella to go Mudsdale here. I'm figuring they probably rapid spin. They do. They spin around real fast, gets rid of some Stealth Rock, but that's going to give me a little stamina. They take some Rocky Helmet in the process. And in a lot of matches, it's like this one specifically, Mudsdale is a tricky thing to kind of get rolling, because, you know, while I can go for an Earthquake, the one thing they have to switch into that would be the Oricorio, and they have just a couple of different options to hit me on the special side. And while I know that the Oricorio can't really touch me in return, I can't do much to it. So I decide my best bet is probably just to go for the Stealth Rock here. I'm thinking they more than likely just go for the Parting Shot. I can get back up that Stealth Rock, which is going to be great to put pressure, you know, on the Ninetales. It does do some damage to Oricorio if it comes back in. But yeah, they just Parting Shot after getting all hangry on me. And I'm thinking they are just probably afraid of the Quake or just a Body Press. And I know that's not going to do reliable damage in general, but Oricorio comes in with his little pom-poms. And look, those pom-poms kind of strike fear into my heart because I know that this thing is going to Quiver Dance. And now, while I do still have the Assault Vest Heatran, is just going to stack some special defense, and this little bastard bird is going to be a bit of a problem. So, again, Mudsdale, while I don't have the rock coverage, don't have much to touch it, and I'm going to be forced to go Heatran here. One bad thing that could be, you know, waiting for the Heatran would be something like a Terra Blast Ground. And if they've got the Terra Blast Ground, you know, sometimes you got to let the frog take it, and we take it like a man. But I go Heatran here, knowing that it's kind of a free switch in on a Quiver Dance. And the Lasagna Frog, I need some damage out of the guy. So they do go dancing, hit me with a little cheer, and that gives them a little special attack, Spadef, and speed boost, which all of a sudden, Oricorio looking spooky. So I have two options. Either I go for a Magma Storm for bigger damage, or the higher chance to hit with a Lava Plume. I opt for the Lava Plume and check it out. As they go for the Revelation Dance, we take it far better than they probably expected. Thank God we are Assault Vest, and as I Lava Plume, it doesn't quite do half, but we do get the burn, which is good for his continual chip. And thank God also they did not have the Terra Blast Ground. So ordinarily the thing 2-hit KOs me with the Revelation Dance, but we are wearing a vest and we're fitted the hell up out here looking fresh as hell in our vest. So as they decide now, a second Quiver Dance is actually a good play. It's going to give him the special defense boost that should put him in the spot to be able to live. And then their next Revelation Dance is probably going to be able to kill the Heatran. But as I go for another Lava Plume, I get the crit. And that is going to be about clutch as hell, because that is going to knock out the Oricorio. They try to Quiver Dance, they pay the price, and while the game is getting real close here, it is far from over as they've got some threats left. So, first of all, in comes Ninetales. As I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, Ninetales cannot do a damn thing. I am Lava Frog, hear me roar. I'm thinking I can just, you know, Earth Power the thing after taking whatever the hell it wants to do, but then boom, Pocket Sand comes right out of it, and that's going to be a big ol' hit, but I live it. Look, Assault Vest Heatran is kind of the go. It allows me to then go for an Earth Power, takes care of the Ninetales, and I'm like, wow, is this Heatran the truth? It turns out it is. One thing we know for sure, though, is that Heatran is definitely used up at this point. And as Scrafty comes in, this is the one thing they have that can turn the game around for me. They got 2 Mons left. Scrafty can come in and go for a Drain Punch. I'm thinking, please do not be Moxie. That would be sick. We didn't see Intimidate, so it could be Shed Skin. But, you know, it kills me with the Drain Punch. Down goes the Tran, and it is going to be Moxie. So, you know, the physical attack boost on the thing now makes it very scary. And I'm like, well, this is exactly why we can serve Mudsdale to a point in the match where it can kind of be a checkmate. They have 2 physical attackers left, and physical attackers are like a little treat to Mudsdale. It's like a little sugar cube to give him. But as they go for the Dragon Dance, I'm like, yeah, you know, this could get a little bit out of hand. The +2 attack paired with things like a Drain Punch, considering I don't have any stamina boost yet, my body press is going to do a little less than half, which is a little bit scary. But again, I'm at full health over here. Mudweiser's just taking bites of apples, honestly having a pretty good time. Now, this thing has doubled attack, and if it has an Ice Punch, I know that I should be able to live at least one of them. I'm thinking at least. So now they decide to bust out the Terra, and that's why this Scrafty is far scarier than I hoped. Because with the Terra in the back pocket, they know that they can go for the Terra Poison, allow it to now resist a body press, and they can go for another Dragon Dance. And I'm like, oh shit, this little lizard over here is doing its best dragon impression, and now it's at +3 attack. Very scary Scrafty, and this Mudsdale is kind of the last hope we've got to be able to turn this match around. So at +3 attack, they've got to attack me here. I know I can go for the Earthquake, and as they pull out the Drain Punch, Mudsdale is able to live it honestly pretty damn nicely. Like, oh, did something touch me? Was that a +3 stab Drain Punch? Yeah, I didn't feel it, but they get a bunch of health back, which is the problem. But luckily for us, the Ground-type horse has a big stab Earthquake waiting for him. And while the Terra Poison did help out with the body press, the Earthquake coverage is going to be able to take care of it. And boom, that's a dead Scrafty, which is amazing because that thing would have surely been able to destroy everything else we have, obviously. And then we just get a nice little bite of the leftovers. I do mess with the item the thing carries. Leftovers is pretty clutch. Rocky Hat, you could argue both sides, but now their final mon is going to be the Morpeko. And honestly, we're not really out of the woods yet, as this thing looks like another sugar cube treat for us. They decide to go for the knockoff, and look, we barely are able to hang on. Thank God we had that last stamina boost. We can live it with 20, because then as now I fire off an Earthquake, that's definitely going to obliterate the thing. But low-key, if that knockoff would have killed and I didn't have a +1 stamina boost, Braviary just gets outsped and then killed by the Morpeko. So that was an insanely close match. The Mudsdale comes in clutch for us at the end there. And that's why we love the horse. So look, thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate all the support on these videos, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.